All right, welcome to the feedback loop, my opportunity to go through some of the comments left on videos over the past week and, well, respond to them so that you know that I've read them. So let's jump into this week. All right, first up was Ken's Vinyl Minutes. I can't remember if I did any of this in the end of the last feedback loop. But he went in and did a video on Kiss Unplugged and Unboxed. Bill Phelps chimed in with, "That looks like a very nice package." That's what she said. I'm an originals guys, though, and through. But I'm surprised that Bruce and Eric are kind of in the background. The majority of the record is them. The gatefold sound fantastic. Great video, Ken. Yeah, that was a little bit of a shocker, but not too surprising in some sense that the guys who were, I think, only involved in a few songs at the end of the show got their faces on the picture discs. But there you go. That's the power of being a founding member of the group. Jay Zach's dad, great episode. The set is beautiful, but I wonder how Bruce and Eric feel when they realize they were not part of the picture disc, especially Bruce, because he loves promoting his era of the band. Yeah, Bruce is a banner waver for that era of the band. Eric as well, is an important part for the years that he was out of makeup, 92 to 96. So yeah, that was it'll be interesting to hear if they have anything to say on that, but usually they're very much party men who don't really step out and criticize too strongly. Eric Krakow, unplugged with no mention of Bruce and Eric as criminal. All right, we've got a theme to these comments, so there we go. And Ron's on roll, or Ronson roll. Okay, I never understood why Got to Choose was not included in the original running order but tacked onto the end as a bonus track. It may be timings for the original LP version, but certainly it seems to be just treated more as a pure bonus track than included in it where in situ, which is kind of weird. I'd still like a super duper deluxe edition of the full recording, remastered and remixed, including all the songs that didn't make the broadcast or the album, and the multiple takes, of course, of and Paul's banter, because again, I love that whole performance. So great job by Ken on that. Vinyl Minutes, I'm enjoying his series as well. All right, next up was the following day I did the forthcoming licensed Kiss products and publications roundup, and all of these products are coming out or were scheduled to come out September through November of this year. Who knows if those time frames stick. Most of the positive comments are about the Destroyer book. Most of the negative ones are about, well, no comments really on the tarot cards, the sticker book, and I can't even remember what the other one was off the top of my head. We'll see if we can figure it out. Italian, the Destroyer book for me as well. Deathwiz, looking forward to the Destroyer book. As for the rest, not so much. I guess they'll probably test the water with these and release more of that stuff that sells. So I hope the Destroyer books outsells the others by a lot, and that's a really good point. Merch, if it sells, you do more. Merch, if it doesn't sell, you cut your losses and move on. Albert Borg, the only interested in the Destroyer book, will buy anything Ken Sharp is associated with. Hopefully more of the same with the other Kiss albums or projects down the road. Here, I agree with that. Jerry Wilkerson, Destroyer book, only thing I'm interested in. Jeff Alt would have killed for that sticker book back in my school days. So many exercise books to cover. Now seems a little bit late, but you know what? I think a lot of people will probably end up with it in their stocking stuffer at some point. Rex Smetzer, thanks, Julian. The pins do not seem to be currently available. I clicked on the link again, and they were. So again, I don't know if they stay on the schedule or not, or what the deal is. Peter Balk, can you confirm the 4488 page Ken Sharp book that accompanies the Destroyer picture disc and deluxe CD version is in fact an edit of this Destroyer book? No, I can't. I don't have any visibility into that side of things. I would think, as always, there may be crossover because that's the nature of things. You're not going to go out and ask the same things again. You'll ask new things. So we'll have to find out together I'm looking forward to that book. Dean Ferguson, how about a book from 79 to 83 with lots of photos? How about one on Dynasty? How about one on Unmasked? How about one on Creatures of the Night? How about Elder Era? All of the above. Well, I think as fans, let's see how they do with the Destroyer book first, and then they'll decide, I guess, if they want to branch out into other areas. Charlie Resner. Apologies, as always, if I butcher your names. I'm tired today. Interesting how none of these official products feature the end of the road lineup. Is Pop House still going to use Eric and Tommy for the avatars? Would be stupid if they did. As far as I understand things, and I'm not an insider, I have nothing to do with Pop House or rights or anything, but I do believe that unless they have the image rights secured to use the likenesses, now makeup being one thing, you can slap it on anything and they own it, but the likenesses, and that's the physiology that makes your face, and there's a special word for it that has too many syllables in it, like gymnasium, and I don't think they have that for who is it? Oh, Ace and Peter. But I think they do have certain agreements with Eric and Tommy, so they can make new merchandise, aka avatars, new products with Eric and Tommy, but they can't do that without the rights that they would need in order to cover all the bases and all the business side of things. That's what I think. I could and have often been wrong, and someone will correct me, no doubt, if I am. So right now, they can reissue anything that's been approved previously using Ace and Peter. So album covers, T-shirts, all that stuff is grandfathered in, from my understanding. But anything that used them in a new pose, walk like an Egyptian, then it would be different. All right, Chunk Box. Why can't we get great action figures with tons of articulation? There are lots of great companies who could make them. 6-inch scale would probably be best. I would love to see some new ones made. Do you think we'll get some anytime soon? I don't know. I think with tie-ins with the avatars, all things are possible. They're going to certainly want to maximize the amount of revenue they can generate, and who knows? They did the dolls with Todd McFarlane. They've done other ones. I was just writing about Todd McFarlane dolls the other day, very briefly. So who knows? But if there's an opportunity to merchandise something, that's the American way. Joseph Kiss Sr., I pre-ordered Ken's book, but the rest I really don't have an interest in. Anything that Ken Sharp writes about Kiss is a must-order. Thank you all very much for chiming in on those. I was a little bit worried that it was going to go south. All right, so Kiss Landlocked in Las Vegas, the schedule video I did. Wasn't expecting much response because either you're going or you're not. Eddie Munoz. Paul Stanley should most certainly publish a book of his artwork with commentary. That would actually be could be a cool coffee table publication. Sparse design, very artistic, little blurbs, bits and pieces, maybe sketches, maybe behind the design paradigm and stuff like that. Like the cookbook I suggested, could certainly be very interesting. So there we go. Marcus Almighty. Oh, chiming in. Great video, Julian. Didn't Kevin Valentine Take It Off on Revenge? Yes, he did, and I was completely blanking on most of that stuff. He's also alleged to have done a couple of songs on Hot in the Shade, or potentially worked on demos on Hot in the Shade, along with Eric Singer and a drum machine, which were then kind of utilized in some form and may still be heard in some manner underneath Eric playing over them. But is that what I was thinking of? Yes, that's what I was thinking of, but couldn't quite articulate like the dolls. All right, so on to the big episode of the week, the live show. I wasn't available. I was not having fun, like Ken suggested. I was at the doctor. But I also put in my picks just so that they could talk about them. And I just threw my big 4 Kiss albums are Kiss Alive, because, come on, Kiss Alive is the monstrous keystone to the Kiss catalog by far. Rock and Roll Over, because it's my favorite Kiss studio album, pound for pound. Love Gun has many flaws. It's overly polished. It has a couple of complete fillers that really bring it down for my tastes. Destroyer is not so much a true Kiss album. It's a fantastic album, start to finish. But it's someone else's artistic input really changing the dynamic and the, I don't want to say authenticity because it's the core catalog song. Creatures of the Night, because come on, and Asylum for emotional reasons. And I don't know which one of those would be my number one. Potentially Asylum, because the emotional importance of that one to me and it being my gateway to Kiss. All right, James Reed, my top four: Alive, Rock and Roll Over, Debut, Alive 2, great picks. Rock the Nation, Debut, Love Gun, Alive 2, Dynasty. These are the records I had when I was 6 or 7 years old. Ken, I'm one of those people that accidentally played Charisma, first dropping the needle down because Charisma was the first song listed on the back of the cover. A better listen, in my opinion. Dwayne, K1M. Alive, Dressed to Kill, Creature's Revenge as a good spread of the albums. Joseph Kiss Sr. I was right with Lonnie until his last pick. I looked at this as to what were 4 critical albums in their career. Alive was the one that broke them. Destroyer took things to the next level, and Beth was a huge hit. Creatures was the return to form album. I would go with Unplugged as my 4th pick because it was a pivot to the reunion era. Great show as always, fellas. Charles Bronson, Destroyer, Alive, Rock and Roll Over, and Creatures of the Night. Powerful picks. Jay Zakstad, Hotter Than Hell, Love Gun, Creatures, and Dressed to Kill. Metal Mark, Destroyer, Love Gun, Rock and Roll Over, and Lick It Up. Sam Guzzo, chronologically, my personal big four would be the Debut, Alive, Destroyer, and Alive 2. But Kiss Symphony is also a big piece of my Kiss life. Somehow it brought me back into Kiss to this very day. I try to think about the big four in general, but it's really hard. It's so subjective. I guess every fan has their own big four. You're absolutely right. And everyone is right. Go North Design. For the best of Kiss, just remember the 4 Ds: Debut, Destroyer, Dynasty, and Dr. Love. Rock and Roll Over. Nice way of putting it. Ghost Musicians Union. Hotter Than Hell, Love Gun, Alive, and Dressed to Kill. See, there's a lot of crossover between everyone's picks, but there's also some that feel out of left field to us, depending on our perspectives. Jay Zakstad, I have zero interest in the Stanley Simmons thing. Just not for me. Yeah, the guys talked about them releasing a vinyl version of the album and Ken buying it. But Ken buys lots of stuff, I guess. Robert Michaels, Stanley Simmons will become bigger than Taylor Swift by 2027. Got nothing for that. Dakota Escher. Why don't people understand that the avatars are a long-term project, not just Kiss? Everyone's saying not for me. You're the same type of people who complained when the movies first hit. I'm not going to see people on the screen. It has to be live on the stage. It really is no different. It might work. It might not. I really believe the concept is for those coming up and those who are not even born yet. Fans in 75. As a huge fan of early Chicago Transit Authority, 68 to 78 with Terry Kath, I would go in a second to see a 1971 Avatar version of that band in their early glory days. Take my money now. Yeah, so absolutely right. People don't understand, I guess, that the Avatars are a long-term project. I don't think we understand what the Avatars actually are, because nothing's really been communicated effectively, and we're not being sold on it yet. What we start off with in December 23 is a starting point, and very underbaked one at that. And they say that, not just me. And my reaction and jaw agape on the floor of Madison Square Garden with a WTF expression after the fact. And the moaning that I did and probably still do to this day. So I don't think they understand what it is, because technology is evolving so rapidly that I wonder if they can even keep to a plan. And when they're looking this far down the road and actually trying to develop a product that is viable so far out. I mean, how much money are they investing into this? Or are they waiting for technologies or new technologies? Or can they not get the GPUs or memory that they need to generate this stuff now? So Again, I can't go back to what it was like when movies first hit, or the talkies first hit, or color TV, or any of those things. I don't say it's not for me. I just say that I'm really, I find it hard to find a thread to grab on to when I can go and play Kiss Alive. I can go and play a DVD of Kiss Cobo Hall 76, 3 nights, and enjoy all of those and live vicariously through those moments. I've never been to the ABBA thing. I've never been to the Dio hologram thing. It's a technology that I haven't experienced in any form, but I do have plenty of ways of revisiting the Kiss that I love, the Kiss that I never got to experience. Now, down the road, we'll all be able to give it a chance if we so choose. And maybe people will be interested, and maybe it won't be. And maybe it's not for us. Maybe it's a technology of the future where there is no new art being created because AI owns everything. So who knows? So good comment, Dakota. Thank you for taking the time to share that. Chicago, cool band. I mean, if we could go back in time, I'm sure there's a lot of bands that we could say, put on Aerosmith 1976, put on Motley Crue and the Whiskey. Give me that experience. Give me Zodiac Mind Warp. Give me the Beatles. What would it have been like if the Beatles had toured for Sgt. Pepper's? The Avatar Sgt. Pepper's tour experience. You can only imagine from the few bits of TV that they did what it might have been and what they might be able to create around that if they so desired. So it's a new world. It's a new technology. But is it going to be better than what we saw in New York City? It's going to have to be, because otherwise I'm going to stand by my reaction to that. Just a frickin' crummy commercial, half-baked idea and half-assed execution, not ready for prime time, certainly not ready for the stage and the stature of the moment that they had. So they're going to have to do a lot to impress me. And that's my feedback loop for this week. I'll see you next time.
Oh, look, you're still here, watching or listening. We're not sponsored, monetized, or supervised. We're only in this for subs and likes and kicks. So why don't you mash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about today's episode.